Can I ask you a few questions about the foundation?
No, unfortunately, I'm running late for something.
Well, I'll walk with you. One of the criticisms is Bill Gates is sort of a master of the universe, but he's not elected at all. But he exerts a lot of power. How do you feel about that? Isn't it a little undemocratic? Is Melinda still involved at the foundation even after the divorce?
But I did not like that he'd had meetings with Jeffrey Epstein.
How many times did Bill Gates actually visit Epstein? I've seen estimates that it was in the dozens. Is that true? Why is it that Bill Gates is out free when others who were involved with Epstein are being prosecuted, like even Prince Andrew's in trouble? How did Bill Gates manage to escape? What was Bill Gates' involvement in the simulation for a worldwide pandemic just months before COVID-19? Has he ever explained that? I was at a pavilion called We Lead. It was a women's rights organization in India. They said that the Bill Gates Foundation was a funder. What are you doing poking around India like that? What's Bill Gates' ambition in India? Bill Gates says he thinks there's too many people in the world. He'd like to see 15 or 20% fewer people at least.
First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
And yet he's behind a lot of vaccine development. Isn't that sort of a conflict of interest? How can you trust a guy to make medicine if he says there's too many people in the world? Don't you think you have an obligation to be transparent? I don't think I'm asking any questions that you haven't heard before. I bet you have answers to all my questions. Why don't you just clear the air on some of these things? Why do you think you're above scrutiny? Bill Gates has given more than $300 million to media organizations. I think that's one reason he's been able to skate on the whole Epstein thing. But don't you think just for the public interest, you should have to answer some questions about the billions of dollars you spend distorting public policy? Who have you met with here? And will you ever disclose that? Or do you precisely come to Davos so your meetings are kept secret and no one knows about them? Do you ever talk to the media or only media that Bill Gates buys?
Sorry.
Are you worried that if all the details come out about the Epstein trial, that your boss might get into legal trouble like Prince Andrew did or some of the others on the list? I mean, it must have been bad for Melinda to divorce him over Epstein. I mean, that's what Melinda Gates said. She said she literally divorced him because of what she learned, because he wouldn't stop visiting Epstein.
He was evil personified. I had nightmares about it afterwards.
I mean, how can you work for a guy like that? How much money has the foundation contributed to Davos? I know that Klaus Schwab sells different tiers of participation. How much money has the foundation put into the get-together this year? Bill Gates wants the rest of us to eat bugs and even drink something he calls poop water, but he's one of the biggest agricultural landowners in America.
It's water.
What's going on there? Why is he buying up farmland while telling the rest of us to eat the bugs? Does Bill Gates ever do an interview that's not scripted? I mean, does he ever allow himself to answer real questions, or is he like you? He just sort of has contempt for everyone who he can't buy. Seriously, have you ever done an interview with someone you haven't paid? Isn't it a sign that you're not confident in your identity and what you do if you won't even answer questions? I mean, I'm sure you've heard all these questions before, but why don't you answer them? I'm sure you have an answer. Is it just contempt for the fact that I'm not on your payroll?
Like I said, I called.
Did you ever go to Epstein Island with Bill Gates? Did you ever fly on Jeffrey Epstein's jet with Bill Gates? Have you ever met Jeffrey Epstein? Have you ever met Ghislaine Maxwell? I think Bill Gates will ever be jailed. This is your town, isn't it? You bought half these pavilions. You bought half these people. Has Bill Gates ever made you try his poop water? You know, when he recycles toilet water. Did he ever make the staff try it? Why has Melinda Gates left Bill, but you haven't? Is it because she got more money than you? Do you know Bill Gates better than Melinda does? I mean, she was disgusted with him. She literally divorced him because he wouldn't stop hanging out with that pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Yet you have been loyal to him throughout. Isn't that weird?
Rapidly and appropriately cynical.
To be fair, some of these questions don't have a good answer. They have answers, but not an answer that you should say without a lawyer here to caution you.
Stop, please, stop. Sir!
You have to stop, sir.
Sir! Back, please. Thank you.
What did Bill Gates mean when he wrote that email about meeting a Swedish mother and her daughter at Epstein's? That's a pretty incriminating thing to say. Has he ever explained that to the staff at the foundation? You know, we're walking with Bill Gates' right-hand man, although that sounds sort of gross when you think of Bill Gates. I just want to put on the record, I'm not suicidal, and neither are any of my cameramen. None of us have suicidal thoughts. We're just asking questions that the media party does not do. And no surprise, Bill Gates' right-hand man, yuck, has nothing to say, at least nothing to say that he doesn't want to prosecute it here. I'm out. We're walking the streets of Davos looking for VVIPs. We got us Bill Gates' right-hand man. Bill Gates, famous for his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. If you want to see all our coverage, go to WEFreports.com and chip in to crowdfund our trip to the heart of darkness.